Welcome back to the Okay Not Okay podcast. I am the SportsZu, back for a second straight day after stealing Doc's spot yesterday. Nonetheless, I'm back for week 2 of our 3-part series in which I grade all of the superstars on their likelihood to win a championship on the main roster at or before WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. So last week we did the SmackDown men's roster, so today we will do the Raw men's roster. And of course we will exclude the current champions, so Gunther, Braun Breaker, and the Judgment Day's Finn Balor and JD McDonough are ineligible for today's rankings. So with that, well, why don't we just get started? We will go in alphabetical order by first name yet again because, well, some people don't like to go by last names in the WWE. So let's start with one of those, and it is Akam. So we're going to give him a C. Just a few weeks ago, we actually said that they would go into WrestleMania as the tag team champions. And things are not looking great there for now, but we have a long way to go, so I certainly think they could heat up again. So right down the middle for the AOP with Akam. Next, we have Akira Tozawa of the Alpha Academy. No need to beat around the bush here. He's getting an F. I think he has absolutely no chance to win any championship, including the tag team championships, as he and Otis can't seem to win even a match, let alone gain any momentum to win a championship. Sure, things could change, but if there is momentum out of the Alpha Academy, I think Otis would be the only one to have any chance whatsoever. Okay, next we have Braun Strowman. Since Braun Breaker is ineligible, the other Braun here is Braun Strowman. We're giving him a B-, and quite frankly, he's the easiest person you could just heat up for a couple weeks, make him a champion, either the IC champion or the World Heavyweight champion, and then have him lose a week or so or month or so later as a transitional champion. He would be kind of the perfect person for that. He's very believable to win any championship, but might not just be a guy you want to have hold a championship for a very long time. Nonetheless, he just needs to hold it for a minute here, so he has a good chance to do that. B-. Next, the other Braun-like name, Bronson Reed. Well, I'm going to put him right down the middle with a C. He already had a couple IC title chances earlier in the year that he didn't win, so I don't see him jumping right back into the IC title scene anytime soon. And he just really seems like he wants to beat everyone up right now. And I think once Seth Rollins returns, that's going to be his first target. So that will eliminate him from the IC contention for quite a while. I certainly don't think he's going to win a World Heavyweight Championship anytime soon. So even though he's having a great year and is doing some really good work in the ring and just around the ring, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. We're going to give him a C. Next, Brutus Creed. Well, he's obviously tied to American Made and his brother Julius, so we're going to give him a C+. I think he actually has a pretty good chance to win the tag championships with his brother, because Gable's going to need something to do here, and, well, as you'll see here in just a minute, I don't think he's necessarily going to do anything for himself here. So if American Made's going to win anything, I think it's the Creed brothers. So slightly better chance than AOP right now, C+. Next, Carlito. Well, straight up F for him. If the Judgment Day is going to win anything, and they currently are the tag champs, well, Carlito's going to have nothing to do with it. He simply has the worst chance of anyone in the Judgment Day to win anything. I don't see that ever happening, no matter what, so straight up F for Carlito. Up next, well, Chad Gable, like we just talked about. We gave Brutus a C+, but we're just going to give Chad Gable a D+. He had a whole bunch of IC title opportunities earlier this year, 3 specifically, so I don't see that happening anytime soon for him, so I think we've just got to let him kind of work his magic as a teacher, and so perhaps he can propel the Creed brothers to a title. but I don't see him winning anything on his own for quite some time. Okay, up next is CM Punk. Well, he was my pick just a month or so ago to win the Royal Rumble and take on Seth Rollins, who would be my champion at the time, in the main event of night 1 of WrestleMania. So I think he's got a great chance to win the title. Of course, he could just take on Gunther and win it before then. I think that's what's going to happen next after Bad Blood, but I really think Gunther is going to hold on to that title for just a little bit longer. So CM Punk has a pretty darn good chance here, but we can only go to a B+. Up next is Cruz del Toro of the LWO. Simply no chance here. If anyone wins from the LWO, it's not going to be him, so F for Cruz del Toro. Okay, we have Damian Priest next, our most recent heavyweight champion, and I can only give him a B- here. I don't think he's going to win it back off of Gunther anytime soon, and seeing him fight anyone else for it could happen, but maybe it's a one-off match, but I don't see him winning it anytime soon, and it would be a shame for him to be demoted down to IC title territory. That could happen in time, and it would be a pretty good match with him and Braun Breaker going at it, truthfully, but I don't think we're going to see that, at least not before WrestleMania. B-. And one of his biggest adversaries right now, Dominic Mysterio, well, we're going to give him a C+ because, well, he has an okay chance. Things could happen. If the Judgment Day gets some momentum, they could start trying to go for all the gold, as one says. So Balor could go for the heavyweight championship again, and then Dom could go for the IC title again. And I don't know. It's also possible that he could end up going for the tag team championships if the Judgment Day loses them at some point, because Balor could graduate himself to one of the singles titles, and then maybe he and JD could go for the tag titles. So who knows? There's at least some chance that this could happen, so we'll give him a C+. Okay, and so his opponent just this past week is Dragon Lee. Can't give him much of a grade here. We'll go with a D. I think there is an outside shot that Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio could beat the Judgment Day for the tag team championships. I don't necessarily think there's a strong chance, especially since Dom is not currently holding that tag team title. It would be better, of course, if Dom would face Rey for the tag team titles, which we could get there at some point, and that could happen at WrestleMania. It's not really something I'm predicting though, so just a D there. Next, Drew McIntyre. Well, of course, Drew McIntyre could win the World Heavyweight Championship at any time. If he beats CM Punk at Bad Blood, you know he's going to want a shot right away for that World Heavyweight Championship against Gunther, but I don't really see a fit there. It's not really a great match. Two guys that people love to hate, so that would not really be a very entertaining match. I guess if you throw it on at Crown Jewel, it could just be something they want and get in and get out with that match and be done with it and move on to better things, but I don't know. The stars just don't align for Drew right now, so I'm going to give him a B. Up next, Ilya Dragunov. I'm also going to give him a B, and for completely different reasons, of course. He, of course, lines up perfectly against Braun Breaker to finish their feud, and he might win it. So I think he has a pretty good chance here. So even though Drew McIntyre has the name power and recognition, Ilya has a really good chance. He's also my all-star of all of the rookies this year. He's my #1 pick there. Certainly better than Carmelo Hayes, which the doc would agree with me with. And I think he's even been better than Breaker. I would really love to see Ilya Dragunov become your IC champion over Breaker. Up next is Ivar of the Viking Raiders, who we've not seen in quite some time because he's out with an injury, so we have to give him an F here, but I want to say he had some really great matches once he was on his own, but for some reason his tag team partner Eric is not even listed on WWE.com under the Raw roster, so he must be out for a really long time. So if he's not coming back, Ivar certainly does not have any shot to win a tag team championship. Up next is our only person that's getting a straight up A, and that is Jey Uso. He will win something by WrestleMania. What that is, I'm not exactly sure. I think he's going to lose to Braun Breaker for the IC title, but he could win, of course. He's got the next shot at it. And I think there's an amazing chance that he wins the tag team championships as well. And it's certainly not out of the realm where he goes back and gets another crack at Gunther and finds a way to beat him too. So why not? Jay's got all sorts of routes to win this thing. And on top of routes, not only could he win the tag team championships with his brother Jimmy, he could of course also win them with Sami Zayn. So he has so many paths to win a championship. And we'll flip right back to the other side of the equation. Joaquin Wilde, we will give him an F. Same reason as Cruz del Toro. Those two have no chance. It'll be somebody else from the LWO winning it. Okay, so let's go straight to Julius Creed. He's getting a C+, same grade as his brother, of course. They're tied at the hip, so they could win the tag team championships, C+. Up next is Karrion Kross of the Final Testament. I don't think he's going to be the one to win a title from the TFT. Should they win anything, I think it will be the Authors of Pain. Karrion Kross hasn't come anywhere close to winning a singles title at all, so I don't see that changing. He always seems more interesting in making someone else change, for what that's worth. So we'll give him a D-. Up next, well, one of those guys that he may have tried to change, Kofi Kingston. Well, that certainly didn't work, but it might still work with Xavier Woods. Nonetheless, Kofi straight down the middle, we're giving him a C. I think it would be much lower, but they've got a shot next week on Monday Night Raw to win the tag team titles. So I don't want to be wrong after 1 week. So we're give them a C out of some sort of deference to having the next shot, but they're going to lose, they're going to have more dissension, and I think they're going to break up. So unfortunately, that's really a sad thing to say, but that seems to be where we're going. C. Ludwig Kaiser, he's just getting a D. The stars don't align right now through any sort of route here. I don't see it happening at all. I think he really has a great shot to win a singles title at some point down the line, but just not through WrestleMania. He had a shot at the US title. He's not going to get a shot at the IC title against Braun Breaker, so he's basically just out. D. Up next, our number one guy, it's Otis. Well, he hasn't really won any matches at all this year, so how could you even think it is a possibility? Well, I'll at least give him a D to say there's some sort of possibility. He comes out every week with the free Otis shirt, so let's free Otis, guys. Free Otis. Give him a shot here. He could certainly win the IC title over Braun Breaker. It'd be believable. Let him heat up and get some wins. It could happen. But I think the WWE dropped the ball yet again on Otis. Anytime we think we have a chance for him to win something, it just disappears into thin air. I don't get it. Let Otis win, but it's not going to happen. D. Okay, next we've got Pete Dunne. I think he's done an amazing job over the last several months on his own, but without Tyler Bate around, probably not in line to win anything. Stars just don't align here, especially with Braun Breaker holding the IC title, so Dunne's getting a D+ from us. Okay, up next we've got the LWO's Rey Mysterio. Yeah, you could heat up the Hall of Famer to win at any time. Anytime. He could certainly beat Braun Breaker for the IC title if you wanted him to, and I think it would be a great story if the LWO defeated the Judgment Day to win the Tag Team Championships, so C+ for Rey. Up next we have Razar of the AOP, same grade as Akam. He's getting a C right down the middle. I hope my pick is right in the long run, but I'm not feeling it right now, so we'll see. Up next, we have R-Truth. I think his time is unfortunately over for winning a title anytime soon. It looks like the Awesome Truth is pretty much done, so I can only give him a D-. I don't see him winning a singles title, and if the Awesome Truth is bound for a breakup here very soon, just not gonna happen. D-. Up next, it is Sami Zayn. Well, we can only go with a B+ right now. Sami is always in contention for something, and it sure looks like he's gonna get the next shot for the World Heavyweight Championship. But he's not gonna beat Gunther twice in the span of a half of a year. So unfortunately, he's gonna lose. It's really just a holding pattern until we get something else for Gunther. But Sami certainly could win a tag team championship with Jay somewhere here down the line and leading into WrestleMania. I really like that as a possibility. So with at least getting that World Heavyweight title shot, plus the real tag team possibility, I'm going to give him that B+. Up next, another heavy hitter. It is Seth Rollins. He's getting an A- out of me. He is my pick to win the World Heavyweight Championship on the very first night on Netflix. You gotta have something big happen that night. Seth freaking Rollins is gonna win that title over Gunther on that night. Mark it down. If you didn't watch that prior video, go back and see my WrestleMania predictions. This just has to happen. It makes too much sense. It gets us set up for Rollins versus Punk at WrestleMania for the title. Has to happen. A-. I only knock it to a minus because maybe I'm just a little over my skis on that. But I really think Seth Rollins is going to come back here soon. He'll get past Bronson Reed, and then he will beat Gunther. Okay, up next it's Sheamus. It feels like any time now is the right time for him to win that IC title and become a Grand Slam champion. Just when do you pull the trigger? Well, I don't have him beating Breakker at WrestleMania, at least as of right now, but man, it really should happen here soon. It really should. So I'm going to give some deference to that. I'm going to give him a good grade. B+ for Sheamus. Let's finally get this one done. Okay, up next we've got The Miz. I don't get why they put the as the key part of the name here, but we'll go with it. So Miz, I'm giving a D-. Unfortunately, it looks like Karrion Kross is getting his hooks into Miz here. So surely that breakup is coming with R-Truth. And The Miz just doesn't need another Intercontinental title run, so he's going to deal with Kross for a while. He'll just do his thing. Maybe he'll be the host of WrestleMania yet again. Who knows? But D- for The Miz. Up next, Tyler Bate. I'm kind of surprised he's still listed right now on the Raw roster because he is out for the foreseeable future, at least probably through the Royal Rumble and maybe all the way through to WrestleMania. It just depends on how his torn pec heals. So unfortunately, it's an F due to injury. And lastly, in the regular list, it is Xavier Woods. Well, for the same reason as Kofi, they've got a title shot next week, so I've got to give them a C. But after that, once they lose that shot, I think they're turning on each other. I don't think there's a title coming due to that anytime soon. So straight up a C. And for some reason on WWE.com, the Wyatt 6 is not listed still as part of the Raw roster. So we're going to add them here, of course, at the end. We'll start with Bo Dallas / Uncle Howdy. We're going to give him a D. I don't really see any need for Bo Dallas to go after a title. Honestly, it just doesn't feel right. That's not really the way the character feels like he should work anytime in the near future. Maybe sometime far down the road, but not anytime soon. So I can only go D, as maybe even being a little generous, because he's just not going to try for a title. But also from the Wyatt 6, we've got Dexter Lumis / Mercy the Buzzard. We're going to give him a D+, because I think these other Firefly Funhouse members have a little better chance they may go for the tag team titles, and if they do, they'll probably win. That said, I don't think they're going to try for them. I really don't. But if they do, well, they'll probably win them, but just a D+. So that takes us to Eric Rowan, aka Ramblin' Rabbit. Same grade, D+ for the exact same reason. And I don't have anything else to say other than that. So let's go to Joe Gacy, aka Huskus the Pig. Same grade, D+. I think they could use a little freebird rule should they win and actually go for this. I think it would be fun. Same thing as the New Day over, their previous iteration with Big E in it. So I think that would be fun. Mix up who gets to go for the tag team title defenses each time. So slightly better chance than Bo going for a singles title, but I'm not expecting it. D+ for all three of the guys. And lastly, save the best for last perhaps? Yeah, it's the GOAT, John Cena. I didn't put him on the last one with the other free agents because he basically already said that he wants to go to Netflix. That means he wants to go to Monday Night Raw, so we'll assume that that is what's going to happen. And we're going to give him an A-. Now, I personally have him facing Braun Breaker for the IC title at WrestleMania so that he can win and become a Grand Slam champion and beat Sheamus to the punch at that. But of course, a lot of people certainly think that he could just win the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania to win that 17th title and break the tie that he has with Ric Flair for the most championships of all time. And yeah, that could certainly happen. This is John Cena we're talking about. But at the same time, I also think The Rock's going to beat Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, so wouldn't that be really weird for John Cena and The Rock to both win on back-to-back nights and be your champions in 2025? It does seem a little out there for both of them to be the champions at the same time. In fact, I'm gonna say that I think John Cena wins the title at SummerSlam and The Rock loses the title at SummerSlam. But hey, until then, that's not our problem. We're only going through WrestleMania. I still have him winning that IC title at WrestleMania, so I'm giving him an A-. Well, there you have it. That's our list for all the men on Monday Night Raw as of right now. And of course, if you listened to yesterday's video, maybe some weird stuff is gonna happen along the way that changes some of these things. But for now, we'll just play it straight down the middle, and there we have it. So next week will be our women on both Raw and SmackDown. We'll go through the whole thing because there are simply less total women. We don't need 2 weeks to do all of the women, so we'll just handle them in one video. So I'm the SportsZu, and this has been the OK Not OK podcast.